He didn't have an army, he didn't have a weapon, but he brought an entire government to its knees with nothing but a printer and his brain. This is the story of one man, a master of deception, who exposed the cracks in the system so wide, the government tried to erase him. Before we dive in, what do you think is easier to fake? An identity or the system that verifies it? Drop your answer in the comments. His name, Daniel Sayor. At least, that's what he wanted them to believe. No one really knows his real name, and that's exactly how he liked it. In 2011, Daniel walked into a foreign embassy with nothing but a USB stick. Within 48 hours, he had a new nationality, a new life and zero traceable history. But this wasn't about escaping, it was about exposing. He was playing a much bigger game than anyone could imagine. Daniel had discovered a fatal vulnerability. Dozens of smaller countries were selling real identities to fake people for the right price. But instead of exploiting it for personal gain, he started testing it over and over. Different countries, different names, no fingerprints. Each time, the governments approved his new identity. No questions asked. The only thing real was the photo. Then came his boldest move, applying for diplomatic immunity, using a fake country he invented himself. He drafted paperwork, built a fake government website, issued passports, and the scariest part, it worked. He even got stopped at an international airport and was saluted as an ambassador. At this point, Daniel had outsmarted at least 6 governments. But the real war started when he exposed the entire operation online. He didn't ask for money, he didn't ask for fame. He just wrote one line: "If I can do this, so can anyone." And that's when the hunt began. The same governments who ignored him suddenly declared him a threat to national security. His phones were tapped, his bank accounts frozen. One morning, he woke up to his real apartment, gone. Evicted from his own life, Daniel vanished. For months, he didn't use a phone, internet, or credit card. He became a ghost, but one email changed everything. It simply said, "We know who you are. Let's talk." The message came from inside a government intelligence agency. But was it a trap or an invitation? He had 2 options: run deeper or meet them face to face. He chose the second. And what happened next changed how nations treat digital identity forever. Inside, 3 agents were waiting. One had a file thicker than a phone book about him. They didn't arrest him. They didn't yell. They just said, "You've proven your point. Now help us fix it." Daniel had gone from criminal to consultant, and the governments that hunted him, now they paid him. But even while helping them, Daniel knew the system couldn't be patched. It had to be rebuilt from scratch. And he had one final move left, one that would push the world to the edge of a digital identity collapse. In part 2, you'll see what Daniel leaked to the public, and how the world almost lost control of its citizen databases overnight. But before that, what would you do in his position? Run or reveal? Comment below. Coming up next, the moment Daniel pulled the ultimate switch, turning the global ID network into a tool for the people. Previously, Daniel C. went from anonymous identity thief to global whistleblower, now hired by the very governments he exposed. But he's about to press one final button that could bring the entire digital world to its knees. Daniel wasn't done. The governments wanted a patch. He wanted a revolution. And this time, the public would be watching inside that drive. Thousands of real identities to non-existent people, and proof that entire border control systems could be bypassed with $200. Daniel's message was simple. This isn't fraud. This is design. You built a system that assumes you'll never be outsmarted. So he made the ultimate threat: fix it within 90 days, or I'll show the world how to fake everything. Governments scrambled. Meetings behind closed doors. Systems went dark. And still, nobody knew who Daniel really was. But one nation didn't play along. They tried to bait him, offering him asylum. Instead, they traced his location. Or so they thought. Daniel was 10 steps ahead. The device they tracked, a decoy. Meanwhile, he was already broadcasting from a moving train. His next upload was worse than they feared. Full source code to recreate biometric identity from a single image. Within hours, fake citizens were popping up in databases from Kenya to Korea. The collapse had begun. Airlines halted. Flights, banking systems flagged every new customer, and intelligence agencies issued their highest cyber alert in a decade. But here's the twist. Daniel didn't release the data to hackers. He gave it to teachers, journalists, and students. Why? He believed the truth didn't belong to the powerful. It belonged to the people they lied to. Some called him a traitor, others a prophet. But for the millions watching, Daniel had become something else. Proof that the digital walls around USAID's borders, licenses were made of pixels, and pixels can be changed. Meanwhile, the countdown hit 0, and Daniel's final act, a press conference, streamed from nowhere. And everywhere, his voice disguised, his face blurred, but the message cut like glass. This is not theft, it's return. What was stolen is your control. Daniel showed how your face was bought by corporations, your ID licensed by third parties, your data already sold. He offered a choice: rebuild identity with transparency, or keep living behind a locked screen pretending to be secure. And then he disappeared again. No one knows how, but one leaked file suggests Daniel never existed at all. Right. All records, images, even his voice, could have been AI generated. A ghost in the system, built to expose it. Which begs the question, what if Daniel wasn't a man, but a movement? Governments panicked. Identity systems were rewritten. But the scar Daniel left, that doubt never fully healed. And now, years later, some whisper he's back, not to destroy, but to replace the system once and for all. In part 3, what's really replacing national identity and why? It may already control your phone, wallet, and future. Part 3, the final identity shift. Daniel C. may not have been real, but his message shook the world. Now, governments are rebuilding ID systems, but what's replacing them might be worse. After Daniel vanished, governments didn't just patch their systems. They built something new, tighter, smarter, nearly invisible. It's called SSI, Self-Sovereign Identity. But don't let the name fool you. You're not in charge. The algorithm is. Now, your ID lives inside your phone, wallet, even your face. Blink and you've been scanned, assessed, and assigned a score. In China, it's already here. In Europe, it's being tested. In the US, quietly rolling out via banking and health systems. And the craziest part, you probably agreed to it. Buried in the terms you never read. Daniel warned about this. In one final encrypted file, he left a note. They'll give you the illusion of control. That's the final trick. After that, thousands started building new ID systems from the ground up, peer-to-peer, transparent, publicly owned. And in the middle of it all, someone kept submitting code. under the name Daniel_C. Was it him? Was he ever one person? Or has Daniel become a symbol, an idea you can't arrest or silence? Today, people carry digital wallets, but some are asking harder questions. Who holds the keys? Who watches the watchers? We asked 5 cybersecurity experts. Can we make identity systems both secure and free? The answer, maybe, but only if we remember the lesson Daniel taught us. That power given without transparency will always be abused, not by hackers, but by institutions. Daniel exposed a truth most people aren't ready for. That digital freedom has a price and most already paid it. So what now? What do you do when you realize your identity is no longer yours? You could ignore it, or you could learn how to fight back. Understand it, reclaim it. Lead magnet CTA. But remember, Daniel didn't outsmart a government by hiding. He did it by understanding how they think. Whether he was a hacker, a genius, or fiction, Daniel left behind a question we all have to answer. What is identity if it can be faked? And more importantly, what happens when the system fakes you back? So look at your ID, your phone, your email. Are they your or just data waiting to be sold? The next Daniel might not need to outsmart anyone. They might just need to unplug. Or maybe the next Daniel is already inside the system, writing the new rules right now. Subscribe for part 2 of this series, because Daniel's story might be over, but your story is just beginning. End. See.